Jumping right into bullying, we've got to have a short conversation before, and you do webinars as well as speaking engagements specifically about bullying and bullying rhetoric. If you could just briefly kind of go into what is the rhetoric that you also see associated with the big issue of bullying today.
Well, what we do is we put bullying into a giant basket with a bunch of other behaviors that are not really bullying. And so what that does is it lessens the importance of bullying when it actually occurs. There are certain behaviors called, well, what I like to call lack of manners. There are some students out there who truly do not know common courtesy. And so we put that into a basket called bullying when it's really not bullying. There's also behaviors that are rude. There are unkind behaviors where someone will go out of their way to do something rude to someone, and we call that bullying as well. We also call horseplay bullying, when really it's just good-natured play between two people with an equal amount of relational power in the relationship. And there's also a behavior called revenge, where someone will get someone back for a perceived slight that they may have received from that person, and it could have been 10 minutes ago, or it could have been 2 months ago. And a lot of times parents will encourage their child to get revenge on someone to show that they are not going to be pushed around at school.
And so with those specific ideas of what's not bullying, you have kind of an assessment of what is bullying. Can you share some of the key points in someone looking in from the outside?
Bullying behaviors are very specific. They are a set of behaviors that are repeated by someone towards one particular person, and it could be a group that's doing it as well. But they are intended to physically intimidate someone. They're intended to embarrass someone, and it also involves an imbalance of relational power. If you have someone who is part of the popular group, or a group that is seen by others as having more relational power, if someone in that group is doing something to someone in a less powerful group in the school, then that would be considered bullying.
And that makes a lot of sense. Does that seem to simplify the assessment of bullying when you're dealing with schools and administrators and teachers who are trying to come up with a policy when it comes to bullying? Is that a difficult process to get through?
Yeah, it's very difficult because most people do not understand what bullying actually is. We're always looking for simple answers to questions, and so what we do is we take every unkind behavior that one student does to another student and we label it bullying, and that really lessens the importance of bullying when it actually does occur. One of the analogies that I always use in my speaking engagements is the analogy of the car alarm. I'm old enough to remember when car alarms first came out back in the 90s, and when you first heard a car alarm go off, you were dialing 911, you were calling the police, you were trying to get people to come and help because you thought that a car was actually being stolen. And now, many, many years later, all cars have car alarms, and when you hear a car alarm go off today, you don't really rush to the phone to try to call the police. You probably are annoyed when the car alarm goes off. And I think we're getting to that point with bullying, and that's a shame because bullying is a very serious issue and it needs to be dealt with in a serious manner, but we have totally lost our way as far as identifying what bullying actually is.
Yeah, that's strong. I can see it. Now, are you met with opposition very often on this stance from parents who have had kids that may be bullied, or kids that may not, but that their parents believe that they have been?
I've been in this business for 25 years, and I have yet to have a parent call me to ask me for help in helping their student stop bullying people. Whenever I call parents to let them know that their child is exhibiting bullying behaviors, their first reaction is to deny that their child is exhibiting these behaviors, and they try to come up with explanations as to why that student is acting the way that they are towards that other student. They will put together excuses for their child, and so what that does is it makes dealing with bullies on the part of school administration, it makes it very difficult, because then at that point you have to come up with physical proof in the form of witness statements, video, documentation, phone records, printouts of Facebook posts and Instagram posts, printouts of text messages to convince the parent that their child is actually engaging in bullying behaviors. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a lot of times school administrators just don't have the time available to deal with these problems in a systematic way.
From the outside in, how is that? Are there any solutions for administrators and teachers when it comes to that time factor and how much it could potentially take up? Do you have any suggestions?
There are really no easy answers in this case. I think that if there were an easy answer, we would have come up with it by now. What I have found to be successful in working with schools across the nation is the 5 questions that you can ask someone accused of bullying to determine whether or not their behavior is bullying behavior. That 5 questions for bullies is available in a free ebook online called Bully Neutralizer, and so we've adopted that. Especially in schools that I'm working with, where you can sit a person down and ask them 5 questions. And if the person answers yes to any of the 5 questions, then that behavior can be categorized as bullying, and then we can move forward to come up with solutions to the problem.
Do you know those 5 questions offhand? Just curious. You might not. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, man.
No, then if you don't, I just thought if you do,
Okay.
you could rattle them off. But don't worry, no. If it's not secondhand information, I'll track it down. I appreciate your time, Mr. Holden, so much. Sorry it was not the easiest path, but I do appreciate it. And I feel free to email me, and then I'll also send you information. This is going to air on Thursday during the noon news, so I'll make sure that you have access to being able to watch it, whether it be streaming it while it's happening or certainly a link after the fact. I appreciate your time.
That's